everybody wants extra income and is looking for ways to have a side hustle and make some money, which I think is a great thing, especially nowadays. But one thing I feel that is lacking in a lot of videos is kind of an in-depth explanation. So I'm only going to focus on 5 different ideas that I have. Some of them, it's a combination of tried and true methods, as well as a few are a little bit more creative. And I have 2 main goals with this. One being that by giving some of the thought process on why a specific side hustle works, I hope that it enables people to kind of find their own opportunity. I think really that's the main way to make some extra income or find some side hustles, is doing things that people aren't necessarily doing. And the best way to do that is kind of seeing the thought process on how to seek opportunities. So by me explaining how I view certain things as opportunities that are kind of missing, then hopefully that helps you build your own thought process on how to seek opportunity. And my second overall goal is to give enough specific direction that you at least feel like you can get started on these different income ideas. I feel like there's a couple of videos out there that just kind of gloss over the overall specifics. They'll just kind of say, number 3 on the list, buy cheap items and resell for profit. And that's it. And then they'll move on to number 4. And, that just gives you a general sense of the idea, but you don't really feel like you can run with it or make it your own. And so I'm going to try to provide some more in-depth directions. But if you feel like you have questions or comments that you want to make about a specific income idea, just comment down below and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Now, the first idea I want to mention is to ask friends and family or even neighbors if there's any side projects or anything that you can do for them to kind of have a source of income from them. And I know that seems pretty obvious to ask, for help, but I think when you think about it, what stops people from looking at that as an opportunity is usually a sense of ego or pride. They don't necessarily want to ask their parents or their brother or their neighbors, hey, can I mow your lawn or something like that? Or can I help you build a shelf or whatever? But when you kind of put aside that ego or pride and are willing to ask them, I think you'd find a lot of people that are willing to help out, especially because there's situations that can kind of be a net benefit. Think about it this way. A relative may not necessarily have asked you to help them move. They just thought maybe you'd be too busy or they didn't want to bother you. So they ended up hiring movers that were going to cost $500 to basically just move a bed and a couch. But that's something you'd be willing to do for $300 or $400. And that actually ends up being a net benefit to both parties. You get paid $400 and your relative ends up saving $100 that they would have had to pay to someone that they didn't even know. I think a lot of people actually kind of have satisfaction on giving money or helping someone out and paying them versus just paying some random company. So that's another factor to consider, is that you're kind of benefiting them because they have a better satisfaction, even if they were paying you the same amount they were going to pay the movers. So like I said, I know it definitely seems really obvious to just ask around for side projects, but I think you'd be pretty surprised by how many people are willing to take you up on that offer, especially because once you throw that out there to a friend or family member, hey, I'm just looking for some extra income. Is there any way that you guys have any side projects that I could help out with? And I think once you put that out there, they have you in mind going on in the future. So at any point down the road, if they do have a side project that comes up, they know to ask you right away. The second idea I have is to do any kind of lawn servicing or maintenance. And I don't necessarily mean mowing or cutting the grass or anything like that. I mean, as far as fertilizing, or sometimes there's applications out there that reduce the amount of like mosquitoes or bugs on the lawn. Those type of applications are very easy to do. You don't necessarily have to haul around a mower, especially because a lot of people always recommend, cutting the grass, especially when you're a kid. But the thing is, you can only take a lawnmower so far, especially if you don't have a truck. But, to spread fertilizer, if you've ever seen it done, it's very easy. And it usually takes maybe about 10 minutes at most to do a typical lawn size. And the great thing about this is that, like I said, you're not really limited on how far you can go as long as you're willing to walk there. And one of the things I think is really great about it is that houses that are willing to pay fertilizer companies to do this, every time that they pay a company to do it, they always put this little sign out there that says, this lawn was fertilized by whatever company. So if you can figure out how much that company is charging, then you can undercut all the houses that you see where that company's sign is at, and undercut them by $10. And for the most part, why would anybody really care if it's coming from a professional company or just someone with the same? It really is pretty much the same fertilizer. So they'd rather save that $10 per application. So, if you could just take 10 houses, and if you think about, the average charge is usually between $40 and $60. If you can find these huge lawns, you can go up to like $120. But if you just stuck to $50, 10 houses, and you did about 4 to 6 applications, let's say you did 6 applications during a 9-month season, then you're making about $3,000 in 9 months. And obviously you're being charged for fertilizer, but let's just say that even 1/3 of that went to, the actual cost of the product for fertilizer. So that would come out to about $225 a month, which may not necessarily seem like that much, but in terms of paying off debt, that $200 is very helpful. But if you're thinking about in terms of I just want extra income, I'm trying to get to $200 per week, it's a very scalable business because it's very easy to just walk house to house. And if you think about how many houses you could probably hit, within walking distance, and if you just took a percentage of that, and then on top of that, you just have these business signs that tell you which houses are willing to pay, it's very easy to get to 30 or 40 houses, and that's really not too much of a commitment as far as time. Now, the third idea I want to share is basically a tried and true method, which is to learn a skill set and then to sell that skill set. There's never been a better time than now to basically learn some kind of skill online because there's plenty of places out there offering free online courses, especially right now. There's Harvard courses out there being offered for photography, or there's even photography websites that are offering, really in-depth free courses, and this applies to any skill set out there right now. Or you can even set up trial accounts to do different, skill type based websites. You could possibly, in theory, set up trial account after trial account and basically learn a skill set for free. And so once you have that skill set developed, you may be thinking to yourself, who would be willing to pay a new photographer when I have no portfolio, I don't have any, proof that I can actually do this job. So think about someone who's in kind of an entry-level position as far as photography business, and they're charging anywhere from $200 to $400 for a portrait session. And they're just starting off, but eventually they build enough clients that they have to raise their prices because there's not enough time to service all these clients, and they're having to refuse people away. So they raise their prices up to $500, $600. Well, now there's this opening for you to kind of move in for that lower tier price. You can start offering your services for $100 or $200 per portrait session. And, some people are just looking for a good price deal. They just need someone to basically point and shoot a camera. They're not necessarily too concerned about the quality or as far as the actual proof of portfolio. So you can actually capture these clients just by simply asking. And actually a good way to find these low tier priced clients is to basically ask these mid-tier priced photographers, is there any business that they're having to refuse, and would they mind sending it your way? Perhaps you can work out some kind of deal where you refer them. There's many options, and I think you'd be surprised by how many people are willing to help out people that are breaking into the industry. And the other thing I like about it, and the same thing applies to that lawn care service business, is that, it's scalable. It's really easy to start building more skills, and then you get to this point where you're actually offering more services for a higher price. The fourth idea is to basically buy and resell things that aren't necessarily easy to sell, which I kind of alluded to in the beginning of this video about buying and reselling that people don't necessarily explain it too well. So I'll try to give it a little bit more in depth, but once again, feel free to ask questions down below. But typically what happens when people sell things on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or any of these apps that they sell their used goods is that people end up getting, pretty lazy or tired of trying to sell, especially things that are kind of priced higher and take longer times to sell, like a car, for example, or any kind of luxury product. Those are typically things where there's people out there that just kind of get lazy. They think, this watch is worth $500 and I'm going to stick to it. But after a week, they basically just give up and will take whatever they can. So if you can get in there and kind of give them a lowball offer, not necessarily at a point where they just reject it, but kind of finding that balance of it's low enough that you're going to make money, but at the same time, reasonable enough that they'll at least entertain the idea. And I think the thing that people need to recognize that's really in your favor is you have nothing to lose. So if, you offer $400 on that watch and they say, what about $450? Stick to that $400. A lot of people that are trying to buy and resell get overly eager on trying to get, products to sell, that they end up, committing and saying, all right, $450 for that deal. But the thing you really have to realize is the odds are in your favor because you don't necessarily need that watch. There's no reason you have to buy it. And if you don't feel comfortable enough that you can't buy it at a low enough price that you could easily make a profit, then don't. You're not losing anything. There's plenty of opportunities out there, and all it takes is 5 minutes or even less to email another person to make an offer. So, it's kind of a numbers game as far as getting out those emails and eventually finding that right deal. But there are some risks to it as well. You think about having to buy like used skis, for example. You paid $500 for it, but nobody's necessarily interested in buying those skis right then and there. So, the smart thing to do is to kind of hold on to them. So you have to kind of have this $500 kind of tied into those skis for a little bit. But if in the end you recognize that at some point you're going to make that money back and even more, so it's just kind of a patience game that a lot of people don't necessarily have the stomach for, but it's one of those things if you do have the patience for, you can make a lot of money. The last idea I want to share that's becoming more and more popular right now is things like Instacart or Uber Eats or Grubhub. Any one of those will definitely apply, and you can read on forums which one's better than which. But the main reason I want to advocate for this idea is that, especially right now, you're really not having to deal with a lot of people, especially because, a lot of food delivery services are doing this contactless system where you basically just drop the food off at their doorstep, ring the doorbell, knock the door, and you just get back in your car and, service the next customer. A lot of people are turned off by the idea of working for Uber or Lyft or anything like that because they don't necessarily feel comfortable having to deal with strangers. But that's the best part about like Instacart or anything like that is that you're really not having to deal with people that much. And there's relatively low risk. As long as you have a car or insurance, or even in some cities, you can do the same service on a bike. So the cost of entry to kind of get into this industry is relatively low, and you end up working your own times. You can work at peak times, or you can work on weekends, or just any time that you have some available free hours and you want to make some extra cash. And the thing is it really is just as easy as signing up for any website. Some of these companies do have a background check that you have to pass, but in general, it's fairly easy. And the thing is you can make anywhere from $8 an hour to $12 an hour. On the very, very low end, there are instances where people are making like $6 an hour. But at the same time, on the very high end, there are people that are getting $20 an hour when they're working these peak times and, for whatever reason, the city is just filled with a bunch of orders. But the only thing I don't necessarily like about it is that it's not necessarily as scalable as the other things. You're not necessarily going to be able to charge a higher and higher price. But the thing I do like about it is that it's very easy to get into and you can kind of set your own hours pretty easily. So that's it for this video. I hope I went in depth enough that, it actually gives you the direction and steps to actually go, or at least I gave you enough reasoning behind my ideas so that way you can kind of formulate your own thought process as far as seeking opportunities on your own. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Like I said, all these ideas are things I've tried myself, so I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. If you like personal finance videos or anything regarding financial topics, I post one every Wednesday and sometimes on Saturdays. But if you like economic updates or financial news videos, I do one of those every Monday and Friday. So hit that subscribe button. I hope to see you in the next one.